Shalom. Sorry to be late. I've been running late all day today, and GrimGriz is
Hi,
here
I am. We're
to
gonna have
be
a good show.
destroyed with facts and logic.
The facts and logic.
So, what are we going to talk about?
First, I gotta
Yeah.
tell you about this new sense-making initiative that we're launching.
Okay. What are
It's
we launching?
called the Macro Way,
The
and
macro.
it's just like a way of looking at things to figure out what's going on.
Okay. How are we going to look at things to figure out what's going on?
Macro Way,
Macro way.
Macro Way. I don't know. So,
I don't
I,
either. I was going to ask you, what do you mean when you say remember embody something something?
there is no agency. We want what's best for you.
What does all that mean?
Well, the first part is to remember to embody what you believe and not just like tell it to your ego self in your head.
Okay.
So remember, embody.
Okay.
And like remember is like also a church shout out. Like remember the members coming together
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I get it. I
into a
get it.
body.
Yeah, I like it. Remember embody. Yeah.
There is no agency.
But there is an agency.
There is no, it's just people LARPing. Like, like if you
Mm.
wiped their memory, there would be no agency. All the agents are following a script where it's all like, okay, I'm going to play the FBI detective and you can play the counter terror, but really it's just souls inhabiting bodies living lives on Earth. And they live action play roles. So they're live action role playing.
I don't
There is,
agree with you that there's no agency. I actually think that's part of the problem is people don't recognize that I wouldn't call it agency, I would call it a spirit. That there are these spirits which possess us. And they can be good spirits or bad spirits, but we are in fact possessed by them.
speaking of which,
Yes.
this whole corner got to talking about egregores.
Mm-hmm.
What
And
about
then stopped.
Moloch?
What about Moloch?
What about the meditations on Moloch? What is like I want to see our champions go up against like things.
Which
Like
reminds me, did you see the Sam Harris interview that everybody's talking about?
I caught the clip from Petcow that had everything you need.
I didn't catch the clip from Pet Cow, although I heard I
Oh, do
I
you
actually
mean Sam Kids in the Basement Harris?
yes.
Yes, I'm familiar with the clip by Sam Kids in the
No,
Basement
no, no, no.
Harris.
I listened to the whole hour long interview. It's
You
like
are a
over
trooper,
an
sir.
hour long that interview,
Yeah.
and
If
yeah.
corner shout out, if you want the bonus footage, Andrea with the bangs like
Hmm.
talked to the people that interviewed him about that thing.
Really? When is that? When did
I
she
don't
do
know,
that?
like the fact that this is being talked about now, after having seen that Andrea with the bangs show, is like,
When did she
how is
do
this?
that? The video just came out yesterday.
I know but she talked to the decoding. That was the decoding the gurus people, right?
No, this is trigonometry.
Oh, it happened again. So he's apparently. I, so what is this?
Okay,
Then
hold
this
on.
is.
I'm looking at Andrea with the bangs. Um, what video are you talking about?
I thought it was the decoding the guru guys.
No, no. This
Like they apparently had a thing with Sam Kids in the Basement Harris too, but it wasn't. So that's what I thought this was
no, no, no,
when it
no.
popped
This
on the
just came
screen.
out yesterday.
Wow. So he's got a reputation, but he's an idiot. I mean,
He is an idiot.
he's a very religious person trying to sell people in a religion that believes it's okay to sell people atheism.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about making a video how Sam Harris lost his mind.
How? You know how it
Yeah.
happened. Tell me how it happened. Just don't make the video. Spoil it right now. Tell me.
I think there were several factors. One of them is
Factor one.
he's not as smart as everybody thinks he is.
He's stupider than you think. Factor two.
Uh, he has a very strong distributed cognition network.
Number two. He trusts other people.
No, no, no. He trusts other people he should trust.
This is how he lost his mind. How is that a factor?
So, how people become red pilled is when they notice that their distributed cognition is failing them, they become very suspicious of their distributed cognition. But because he has such a good distributed cognitive network, it doesn't really fail him very often. So he trusts it very much. As well he should, because he has such a good network. The problem,
If it's such a good network, why is the whole thing suffering from Trump derangement syndrome?
because it's being hacked.
Hack.
Yeah.
Who is hacking his network?
There's a lot of different people hacking our distributed cognition. And that's the problem. The problem is with Bernays and everything that came after Bernays, many psychotechnologies were unleashed on the world where people have learned how to hack distributed cognition and they do it very well. And for the people like you, I think more than most people, your your distributed cognitive network was so obviously hacked that you were red pilled early and you're like, I don't trust any of these people, which
I
makes a
took
lot
the
of sense.
black pill.
You recognized that your distributed cognition was failing you, which a plays with your sanity because our sanity is not contained in our body. Our sanity is contained in our distributed cognition network.
Well, Almond Tree, the black pill is what makes you a gloomer rather than a zoomer.
So the red pill analogy is from the Matrix, and in the Matrix, Morpheus offers Neo the red pill or the blue pill, and the red pill will help him come out of the
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 red pill makes
Matrix.
him a Zionist.
Yes, the red pill makes him a Zionist. And so people started talking about the red pill because I think it was an apt analogy for recognizing that your distributed cognition is failing you and trying to unhook from your distributed cognition. The problem is, and
That's a big fancy way of saying it. It's like I believe a bunch. I just realized I believe a bunch of shit that's not true.
yes, yeah, and we all look. There's no way for your cognition to be contained in a single human body. There's a reason why solitary confinement will drive you insane. You will lose your mind if there are no other people around
Keep
you.
your social distance. I mean, sorry. Solitary confinement does what to people?
It makes them lose their mind.
You let that. What is the black pill question up there, and it's sitting with me. And he says, "Give me that pill." Okay, you want it? Humans
No, the
are
black pill is not a good pill.
here's the black pill. Humans are a genetically engineered abomination being farmed on this planet. But God still loves us. That's the whoop surprise ending.
Is the black pill the emo pill?
Um, no, no, that's the like. It's like playing possum. It's like just dressing up like you wish I was dead. So I'm putting on the black lipstick and this, and, and
Okay, let's get back to Sam Harris and losing his mind. So
okay, so we're
because
at two, because
yeah,
like he
so
didn't take his red pill. First was he's not as smart as people think he is. Second, he didn't take his red pill. Factor number three.
he meditates instead of praying.
Ooh. How
Marty
many more
Stoke.
factors are there?
I want to stop at 3.
Okay.
Marty says, please define distributed cognition like I'm 5. Okay, think of yourself as a computer,
Beep, 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 beep.
and think of the people you speak to as other computers in the network,
Oh, wait, beep, beep.
and consider your capacity to read like computers' ability to.
Have you met any 5-year-olds?
Yeah, I have met 5-year-olds.
Okay, it's like this, all right? I know stuff and you know stuff. So if you think I know the right stuff and I tell you stuff, then you think what I say is true. And you don't have to think and find out for yourself. You just go off of what I said.
Right. And this is something we all do all the time is we believe what other people say all the time.
Like assuming people aren't like what you're hearing is not a lie, is engaging in distributed cognition.
And just like when you live your life, just like you learned English by listening to your parents speak, and so you assume that how they use English is correct, even if maybe they're using a word wrong. You use that word the same way. Um, you distribute your cognition, your ability to think as a human being, is actually dependent on other people also thinking at the same time. Did that do it, Marty?
Welcome. This episode of the Federici stream, GrimGriz, destroyed with facts and logic, is brought to you by the word behemoth.
Behema.
Behemoth.
Behema.
Behemoth.
It's not plural. Nobody thinks of many behemoths when you say behemoth. It's singular. Behema, not behemoth. Behema.
Mind your name.
When did you learn Hebrew?
I don't. I have notes. I have crib notes.
Aha.
Here's the good one. Hold on. Let me just
Yes,
spoil
it seems dangerous. Distributed cognition is not dangerous. Distributed cognition is a basic function of human beings being human. What is dangerous is when people hack distributed cognition, which is what people are doing, and what Sam Harris, the idiot, was defending while on trigonometry.
He was defending
Hacking distributed cognition, yeah.
You mean lying in public?
Yep,
Lying to the public
yep,
for the public's own good, because
Yep.
us here on Elysium, we know better
yep.
than you cattle people who are abominations genetically engineered to be food for the underlords.
That's not what he thinks. He just thinks the vast majority of people are much dumber than he is.
They probably are, but he's
No,
not.
actually, that's part of the problem. They're
Oh, you
not.
think he's one of them midwits?
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
Ah.
That's a part of the problem. Yeah. He's actually not that much smarter. he thinks he's a lot smarter, and a lot of people think he's a lot smarter because he
He
has
married
such a
well?
good. Well, he was born into a family that like, um, so his mom and stepfather were two of the biggest producers. Well, his stepfather died. His mother is still pretty active, although she's kind of old. Um, Susan Rice Harris.
How you gotta go after somebody's mom, dude?
His mom is a lot smarter than he is. And his stepfather was a lot smarter than he is. And she gave him all the great things that any smart, rich, successful woman would for her son, which was an amazing distributed cognitive network.
Or so you would think.
I think his distributed cognitive network is still pretty good. The problem is it's been hacked. Seems people should do more due diligence before accepting information as fact. So this is part of the problem. This is part of the malware in people's minds that was put in there by the people who are hacking distributed cognition. Anybody who tells you think for yourself hates you, wants to destroy you, and is trying to control you. There's nothing worse you can do than try to think for yourself. You should never, ever, ever think for yourself. It seems like you might not agree with that.
I don't. I don't at all. I think the Lord blessed us with our cognitive capacities for a reason, and we should use them to discern truth
We
from fiction.
I didn't say stop thinking. I said don't think for yourself.
Oh, you're so clever, Jacob.
It's a bad idea to think for yourself. You should think in groups with other people who you can trust to be good at thinking, to help you think, because if somebody is telling you to think for yourself, that's like somebody trying to tell you, you know what, you should live all alone and not talk to anybody.
That seems like a hyperbole.
No, thinking for yourself is
I think
about the
I think the
worst thing you could possibly do.
I think the phrase "think for yourself" means essentially quit believing what those idiots are telling you.
Yeah. So instead of think for yourself, how about find better people to listen to?
You see how many syllables you're adding there? How much more complicated you're making the instruction?
Think better.
They're lying to you might be more effective.
Okay, they're lying to you. Fine. But
That's
some people are lying to you. It's possible for people to tell you. But when somebody says to you, think for yourself, that's just sabotaging you. It, if you're thinking for yourself, you will never be able to actually compete with the people who are thinking in a group. It's like,
But dude,
what?
like you know how few only the autistic people are gonna take think for yourself the way you're
There
defending
are
against
way
it.
too many people trying to think for themselves. There are a lot of people trying to think for themselves. And what they're doing is sabotaging themselves. That's the problem. The
Okay,
number
okay.
one
What
problem I
point
have
point
with
to
the
one? No,
world
no,
is
no, no,
people
no, no, no,
thinking
no,
for
no.
themselves.
Point to someone thinking for themselves. You claim that you've made this claim that there are a lot of people doing it. I need you to point to one.
You?
I think for myself.
Yes,
I have
unfortunately.
a hive mind, Chet.
You're not
I
as bad. You would absolutely lose your mind if you were not doing that. If you were not actually. You,
I
there
wouldn't
are.
presume that I haven't already lost my mind, Jacob.
Well, I've lost my mind too, but I think all of us have kind of lost our minds because our distributed cognition is being hacked.
Eh.
There's a lot of people watching this.
Really? Hi, everybody.
According to StreamYard, there are 8 people watching this.
Well, there's two live in the Hive Mind chat influencing what we think. They're waiting for you to destroy me with facts and logic, which means we should probably get to like, what is it, Exodus 30:14?
Exodus 30:14.
Yeah, where God changes his mind.
Exodus Vayitnachem. I have a whole video on that.
We have to scoop the
God does not change his mind.
Repented from his wrath, I think, is what the KGB told me.
It says Exodus 30:14. No, this isn't it.
I guessed it's the 14 part. It's in 30, I think.
You're making me do work.
Right after the golden calf. He's like, give me all your earrings and I'll melt them down and make this golden calf. And God was like, WTF, bro. I am going to kill all those people. And Moses was like, don't do it. Don't do
Exodus 30. Are you sure?
No. You can like do golden calf search and that's the one.
God repented of the evil. Exodus 32:14. You were 2 chapters off.
But I got the 14 right.
You did. You did indeed. Should I put it up? I should probably put it up. I will put it up. Share screen.
You should like hum or something while you're.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah. You gotta keep the chat alive, man.
Vayinachem Hashem al hara'a asher diber la'asot la'amo, and God was consoled of the evil that he said he would do to his people. What's your problem?
Consoled of the evil. A, that says God was gonna do evil. B, this whole scene is like the guy from Stargate talking to the alien that comes down. Which is kind of what I think happened on that mountain, to be fair.
Is this week Shabbat Nachamu or next week? Or maybe...
I don't know what week is Shabbat Nachamu.
Nachamu.
Gadolzin.
Let's look at a Jewish calendar.
Rabbi Rafi Molat waves at us. Hello. There's official rabbis like watching.
Where'd you see Rabbi Rafi
in the
Molat?
Chat? He's waving at us in the chat with a yellow hand.
Oh wow, Rabbi Rafi. Hello. I just wrote you an email. I am so glad you showed up. Wow, I have not seen if you responded to my email. It doesn't look like you responded to my email.
Oh, guilt tripping. See, this is the thing. This is exactly the sort of thing. Somebody shows up in your live stream and you say thank you by guilt tripping them.
Rabbi, when is Shabbat Nachamu? I forget when Shabbat Nachamu.
It's passed already.
I don't think it has. I don't think it has.
Sweetheart. He says it in the chat.
Oh, it passed? Oh, it was last week? Okay. So, Nachamu, right, means to console, to where were we? Nachamu, right? Nachem. To be, right, a verb, well, that's the thing. So, to comfort, yeah, God was kind and stuff. Yeah, it was this past Shabbat, and you were asking about Nachem. So Nachamu is in Isaiah, and Shabbat Nachamu is one of the special Shabbatot where we talk about God consoling his people because we are getting closer to the high holidays, because the 9th of Av, which is when the destruction of the temple happened. And so we have this cycle where you go through the bad things that happened and your sadness, and then you have the Shiva de Nechamta, which are the Shiva de Nechamta, 7 weeks of God consoling us before the coming of the Day of Judgment, which is Rosh Hashanah, and then the Day of Atonement, which is Yom Kippur, and then Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing in the Festival of Weeks.
So
Not booths, not weeks, booths. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we're about to come into some hot consoling action.
Yes. And that's what it means, Veyinachem, that God was comforted, that God relented of the evil which he had decreed upon his people.
Who's to talk him out of doing that stuff now?
You should pray.
That's you destroying me with facts and logic?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, turn this off. Put us back on the screen.
Okay. We are back on the screen.
These people we have to think about here. Okay. So let's stick with what's relevant regarding the Jewish faith. When are you starting the building of the third temple?
It is forbidden for us to start the building of the third temple, and anybody who tries to build the third temple is a heretic, and God should have mercy on their souls.
What?
The third temple will be built not by hands.
It's the internet, you said?
I did not say that at all.
Oh.
I said it will be built not by hands. I actually think it's actually possible that an unidentified flying object will land on the Temple Mount and will be the temple described in Zechariah.
Did you see the UFO takeoff from the Temple Mount?
No.
It happened in like 2001.
Yeah, you mentioned this, and I
news.
looked at it, and it didn't look like anything like.
I found what? It didn't look anything like what?
It didn't look anything like a UFO to me.
It's a light shooting, unidentified. It was in the sky.
So somebody shined a
wasn't
flashlight in front of a. Oh, come on!
Here.
What?
Here's in the private chat is the footage. We can bring this up hardcore.
Can we?
Yes, let's. You just said you think it's going to be a UFO landing, and I'm like, hey, remember when there was the thing? And you're like, nah, that's about. So how is that? How do you do that move?
Which move?
I think it's going to be a UFO. No, the one that was there wasn't it. That's a
This
flashlight?
is a UFO?
Keep watching it. That's a flashlight? Wait for it. Wait for it.
This is not impressive.
Wait for it.
I am still unimpressed.
It's about to shoot off into the sky. There it goes. You think that's nothing? That they just let people do light shows over the Temple Mount?
It could be a drone. It could be all kinds of things.
They let people fly drones over the Temple Mount.
Why would you not believe people would drive? I mean, Ezekiel, sorry, Rabbi. Is that the wheel within the wheel? I have no idea. It's like, I don't know. But it will happen when it happens. There is no call for any human being to ever walk onto the Temple Mount. And in fact, I think it should be illegal for anybody to walk onto the Temple Mount.
It should probably be illegal to fly a drone over it too, then, don't you think?
Sure, why not?
All right. I don't feel destroyed by facts and logic. I feel you're being very defensive now, and I'm winning.
You can call it defensive. I don't see how that's anything.
So you said you think there's going to be a UFO land. So
I
the thing
said
that
it's possible.
so you think God's this. What does that mean? Describe for me what you think is possible. What could happen?
By
Is
the way,
God
Rabbi, I am incredibly, incredibly, incredibly heartened by the fact that you are watching my thing. I was very, uh, I we need to talk. So after I get rid of this guy, you're welcome to join the stream. But what were you saying, Grim? I won't dox you.
I
I almost called you by your name.
well, that's what my mother called me. But the, anyway, the point is, you you're gonna describe for me this UFO temple scenario that you think is possible.
A UFO will land, and then it'll be the exact dimensions of the temple as described in Ezekiel.
Oh, so the temple is the UFO,
Yes.
just like in Stargate.
Yes, you are,
Yeah.
Rabbi. Not really. Yeah, maybe like Stargate, I guess.
Wow. So you think God's an alien?
I think God is in control of aliens if they exist.
Right, but it makes sense that there's species like multiple levels above us intellectually and technologically and
So when Eric Weinstein speaks about the possibility of us being in a uh, exclusive territory of some empire in a similar manner as Sentinel Island is governed by India, I think that type of thing is possible.
they we're on a backwater farm somewhere.
Yeah, of an empire.
And then what does that do for your faith?
Nothing.
Like, are we a genetically engineered abomination?
No, I think God created us, and I look. I so have you been listening to EA Dawa much? So don't think for myself, but understand about you. So
A
have you been
Muslim
paying any attention?
apologist?
Yes, EA
No,
Dawa. I really like Khalil. He seems like a really nice guy.
I'm sure.
You mentioned your YouTube channel in your email, so I peeked at it, and it said you're live. So
And this is
yes,
the one. This is the one he catches. Isn't that great?
you might want to check out my conversation with Michael Sartori. That'll tell you more about me than me speaking with Grim. But you are certainly welcome. I also had a conversation with Rabbi Pinchas Levin that might uh, intrigue you. By the way, Rabbi, I would love it if you would join my Discord server. I don't know if you know about Discord, but I would
It's
love.
it's like China and Tencent, and you don't really want to be sharing your whatever there. But we haven't found anything better to use, and I'm not sure who owns Slack. So it's what we're using right now. But be careful
This
what you say there.
Discord. Oh come on! Discord is the best social network available currently. In fact, you know what? I am going to put an invite to my Discord server into the chat in case the rabbi decides that he wants to join.
No, not for anybody else in the audience. Everybody else in the audience, do not click on it. This is only for the. You have to be a pretty upper class person to be on.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. Um, yes. So Rabbi Molot it was on Tanakh Talk, which is one of my favorite channels. That's you've heard of Tovia Singer, right? That's Tovia Singer. That's the channel he's on.
No,
You've
No.
not heard of Tovia Singer?
No. Have you brought any clips?
No, he's not my favorite, but he's like the Orthodox rabbi that this corner of the internet knows the most.
Ah. See, well, he needs a promotional reaper to bring the good clips around because
Well,
that's
people are making memes of him. Let me find the meme somebody put on Bridges of Meaning. There was a meme of him on Bridges of Meaning.
yeah. I need little spies on the Bridges of Meaning server. All of mine flittered away.
You keep on leaving it, don't you? And coming back and stuff. Why do you keep on leaving it?
Well, this one time I asked Paul what Christians should think about all those guys walking around that big black square in the desert,
Hmm.
and they deleted my question without telling me they deleted my question.
And
And I
I
was like,
explained to you that they delete
and,
questions all the time.
and yeah, and I was like, well, that will not stand. That's
Um,
my intellectual property, and I don't mind giving it to them, but they have to tell me if they destroy it. So I left
um,
it, and then I came back, and then I don't know why I left again. No, I'm still there now. I'm still there. I came back after that, but I threw a fit and left over that.
uh, let me find that Tovia Singer meme. That okay. How do I share? Let me see if I can do this.
It's a browser window was an image, right? Just open the image in the browser.
No, it's a video.
Oh.
Let me see if I can share. There it is. Okay. So hopefully this won't be a huge mistake. So that was on. Did you see that? Oh no, you didn't see that. So here. Okay.
I don't hear it at all either.
You can't hear it?
Not a smidge.
Oh yeah. I took off voice meter because it wasn't working. So he says the church wants you to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, and it's based, and they stopped it right after he says, and it's based.
Based and red pilled. If you know red pilled, you should probably know what based is. What is based, Jacob?
Based, it comes from a gaming term where what would happen when you died in a video game, you would respawn at the base. So when you were at the base, there's no downside to dying. So somebody who's based has no fear of death or anything.
Because they're already right with God. Hide your Discord, man.
There you go. Hide my Discord. Okay. So his daughter's on Discord. I think she'd be embarrassed if I am too. Oh, you joined Discord, Rabbi? I have to now.
Are you a made man in the Jewish mafia now?
Okay, so Rabbi, you are now the highest level. You are the official rabbi of my Discord now because the two other rabbis are not actual rabbis. Well, not a rabbi, Yosef. He's qualified to be a rabbi, but he never got a Todah, even though he should. And so he's one of the rabbis. The other one, Chezi, was he was a chaplain in the IDF, but he's busy and he rarely comes on to the Discord. So you are now the official rabbi of my Discord, Rabbi, with Chezi and Yosef. But
Congratulations.
I am quasi-pseudo related to Rabbi Tovia, and more than just being part of the Jewish people, my wife's first cousin is married to Tovia's daughter, Mazel Tov. I actually met him at the wedding.
See, that's why I said. Now he's on your Discord. That makes you maid almost.
I am an important person now because now we actually have a rabbi on our on our server.
Well, I'm glad he caught you slumming with me.
He
And
did.
it works out for everybody.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm trying to get Rabbi Molot to agree to do Antonio's wedding.
Oh, who's Antonio?
You don't watch my conversations apparently because I did a conversation with Antonio.
Oh, no, I just crash your streams sometimes. I don't
You
usually.
don't actually watch my content.
I,
Yeah, I get it. You
I,
know that. I love you too.
I've heard that of all the corner, you have the best content.
My conversations are probably my best content.
I liked you that one you had that Claire Caw lady on. She seemed real nice. I would like to have a nice discussion with her.
She would love to have a discussion with you.
The one caveat is like for the whole thing, she's not allowed to say secular Koranism. And
You can discuss that with her.
I think she gets paid every time she says it, and that makes me feel awkward.
Um, Rabbi, you'll pay as much attention as Chazi does, and so hopefully, if people ping you, you will think. Has the destruction begun yet, Grim?
Yes, yes. See, what happened was rather than facts and logic, he just completely dissed me while I was on his stream to suck up to a rabbi in the chat, and that destroyed my heart. So he did not deliver on the facts and logic part at
Hey,
all. He's
I
talking UFOs and whatnot. He's a
I
loon.
bought you dinner. I've never bought Rabbi Molot anything.
Look at this. Look at
What?
this. You disclose personal details on stream in
That I
response
bought you dinner?
that you paid for like my company, like I'm some kind of whore, and you embarrass. See, not facts and logic, shame and ridicule. This is the
What?
weapons of the Semite.
So you're saying you're ashamed to have had dinner with me?
No, you shame me by dissing me to talk to the rabbi. You ridicule me by telling everyone what a whore I am. Oh, he'll talk to anybody. You just got to feed him. He's very hungry.
Yeah, that's
He
not
has.
how it worked.
That's why I have a pay. No, there wasn't any sex or anything. It's
No.
intellectual exchanges here. It's
There
we're
was
just
intercourse, there was no sex.
there's the thing is we were disembodied from using the screens all the time, so we're just these thought forms, and those can have intercourse without any touching.
So Claire says she wants to be on your channel.
Oh, excellent, excellent. She seemed really intelligent, and
She is one of the smartest people I have ever spoken to in my life, and I have spoken to very, very intelligent people. Be very, very, very cautious of her.
what I might end up on board with whatever she's selling, but it seems like
That
terrible
the
marketing from here.
Oh no, 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 no. See, that's secular Coranism is a um, postmodernist construct created to um, mentally mess with you
Are you
and
saying that
emotionally.
it's trying to hack my distributed cognition?
Yes, yes, that's what she does. I think she's some sort of agency. Yes.
Oh, Rabbi, the thing you need to understand first about Discord is how to right click and mute the notifications for
That might be
almost
a good
everything.
idea. Yeah, that
Like
might be a good idea.
on Jacob's Ladder, the main thing you don't want to unmute is the memes, and the rest you can just leave muted and go look when you feel like it.
Yeah, yeah, you might want to do that. Yeah.
That's standard Discord advice for all first timers. There, that's
Yeah.
serious. So what happens after this wonderful lady hacks you this way? How are you left?
Um
You're left a quivering mass, believing, thinking
no,
what?
no, no, no.
What's a victim of
Okay,
this
so
hacking
this is what
feel
she
like?
does. This is what she's really good at. she will present you with an idea which uh, is meant to. You are not old, Rabbi. I'm pretty sure I'm older than you are. I just turned 45, and even if I'm not older than you are, don't worry. We will take care of you. You are now the Discorder Rebbe. Yes, you are in fact the Discorder Rebbe. Um, so what did I? uh, what was I saying about
You're talking about
oh,
with that horrible,
Claire?
yeah, I mean, wonderful.
Okay, so she presents you with a construct which every intelligent person. Oh, you were at Orson Math. So I was in the center program in 1999, 2000. Um, the in Jerusalem. That's where I went to yeshiva. Um, so she presents you with an idea which any intelligent person would reject, and she get and you start arguing against her whatever you reject in a way that makes her win.
Ah. So as
She
long as I
gets
don't argue against the obvious thing, I won't
oh
get
no
my
no
head
no
cut
there's
off.
no way there's no way you can argue with her because she presents ideas which are perfectly set up. So I'm older than you, Rabbi. So don't worry about it. Um,
Perfectly
she's
set up.
perfectly set up so that by disagreeing with them, you will argue the points that she is for. So, for example, secular Coranism, right? You can argue against Coranism or you can argue against secularity. Of course, nobody's going to argue against both at the same time because they're a contradiction, right?
No. It's like if you wanted to LARP Christian and you didn't actually believe it, you could
Um,
you could be a secular Christian.
but you can't be a secular Coranist.
It's because the
You could
Quran
even
says
be
you
a
can't.
secular Muslim. It's possible to even be a secular Muslim, but you can't be a secular biblicist.
I believe in you. I think you can do it. I think anybody can be anything they want, and it's all a big LARP, and there is no agency.
The fact I am presented with here are that this GrimGriz feller is a Gentile prostitute. Is that correct, or has my distributed cognition been hacked? Um, he is a Gentile. I don't know how gentle he is, but he is no prostitute. I
I give it away for
was
free, baby.
I was not in Brandon's pour and play, but I was at Brandon's pour and play. So we may have met. I was there at Brandon, and
No, dude. No,
I'm
I
a
don't.
friend of Brandon's. Yes,
You're not married, right?
I am not married.
Well, here's a tip, bro. When you're on a date with somebody, don't talk to the waitress like that. Don't flirt
I'm
with the
not on a
waitress.
date with you.
Don't flirt with the waitress when you're
I
on a
am
date.
not on a date with you.
All right, Rabbi Raffi, you can come on. I'm out of here. I won't be treated this way.
You're
Thank you, everybody.
you're not gonna leave me. He left me. I vey. Ah. So who else wants to come on? Let's see if the rabbi wants to come on. I have to find the rabbi first. Where's the rabbi? The rabbi is there. If anybody else wants to come on, I know that. So I was friends with Brandon. Stop being like this, David. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I was there. I was there actually. Yeah. Brandon's a good guy. Unfortunately, he's also gone off the derech. But Brandon's a good guy. Um, we do that at times. We want what's best for you. We do. Um, Jason, do you want to come on? I see. Um, I thought so. Yes, you should check Discord. I sent you a link. You're on call. You are welcome anytime. Anytime. Brandon's a good guy. He lived in Los Angeles for a while. He went to UCLA. I went to USC. I don't know if you know Brian Brager. He's still kind of do you know Rabbi Peretz? I still keep in touch with Rabbi Peretz. Be very, very careful of Claire Kaw. Stay. I would recommend staying away from Claire Kaw, Rabbi. Um, Brandon's a really good guy. Brandon's a really good guy. I haven't talked to him in many, many years. Um, I'm still in touch with Rabbi Davidi somewhat. I'm in touch um, I'm still with the Chabad community. I still watch Rabbi Breitowitz and stuff. And obviously Rabbi Claire. I have like many, many live streams. I have hours and hours of content about Claire Kaw. She is very, very interesting and very, very dangerous. I have a whole 5-hour video. Who is Claire Kaw? There you are. No, I am in Los Angeles. I just assumed you were still in Seattle because that's what your Facebook said. You were in Rabbi Peretz this year? I still keep in touch with Rabbi Peretz. Where are you living now? I don't know why you left, Graham.
You should come back. I was enjoying it. He was
I
cracking
was
jokes
too,
and stuff.
but I was and I was just engaging with the thing.
And you should get him back in here, and let's pull in Claire too, and see if we can get this
And-
craziness going.
So I have a rule with Claire. I will only let her on if she turns on her video and I have the mute button. That's the only way I will have her on my channel.
And you have the mute button. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I'm getting more and more intrigued the more you talk about her. Like
Rabbi Breitowitz is a great, great person. I almost went to University of Maryland Law School because he taught there. I am a huge fan of Rabbi Breitowitz. He was an amazing person. He was only there during the summer when I was at thing. Sorry, I'm talking to Rabbi Molot while I'm talking to you, Jason.
that's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do.
And this
I'm gonna leave.
is why he's such a horrible. She's such a horrible person. Oh, you're in Houston. Oh, wow. Oh, so now I understand why you're so involved with the Noachites. We have lots of people from Texas. On Monday, I am having Chris Pacow on and with his wife, and he lives in some near the Houston area. Is that where Joel Osteen is? Where's Joel Osteen?
Oh, probably.
Chris used to go to Joel's church. Where
He was in Houston. No, yeah, Chris was
Joel
in Houston, I think.
Chris isn't,
I think
and
so.
I don't know if whatchamacallit lives around there. This Jason is in Tennessee. He's also not Jewish, but
That's right, I do.
He is an interesting guy. Jason allows open flirtation with the waitress. Okay,
That's right.
what do you want
Right.
to talk about, Jason?
I'm just not here to flirt with Claire. That's why I'm allowing it right now.
Oh,
No, I'm just
well, yeah, Claire, as best I can tell, Claire is, so she's a member of the bar in the UK. And I think she's been hired by some organization to sabotage people on the internet.
I think I've heard
I
you say
think
this
that's
before.
what she does. Yeah.
Nice. So who's the rabbi you've been chatting with too?
Rabbi Molot, I hope I'm saying that right. I saw him on Tanakh Talk today. Tanakh Talk is a channel for Noachites, which has Orthodox rabbis on it. And
Okay.
it's a nice channel. Unfortunately, the problem with the Noahide community is that it's not very, very healthy. There's a lot of bitter former Christians there, and they're very, very bitter, which
What
I think
the
is
Noahide community exactly? Sorry,
well,
bug
they
just went
tend
up my nose.
What went up your nose?
Some sort of bug. I think it went up and went out real quick. So I'm okay.
That's what you get for living in Tennessee.
Yeah, I know, right?
So the Noahide community, and like 60 years ago, there were 0 Noahides. 2,000 years ago, there were Noahides. They were called God-fearers, and they're mentioned. Grim is back.
Nice. So it's the. I mean, they believe in the laws right after the flood, right? That God gives.
They believe in the covenant of Noah. Yes.
Okay.
Because it was written on a hide, right? That's the Noah hide part.
No.
Branded.
Covenant of Noah. That's why they're called Noahides.
So I realized something I wanted to get into with you.
Yeah.
Tell me about tell me about the horrible cognitive hacker Daniel Schmachtenberger.
Schmachtenberger? I don't think he's a hacker. I think he's not very smart. I think that he is really good. I sometimes call people like him an intellectual mimic, because he's good at taking thoughts he hears from other people and pretending that they're his own. And he's very eloquent, and he is capable of making people think he's smart, and he's not.
But what he's selling?
Oh, he sells all kinds of weird stuff. Like, have you looked at his LinkedIn?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about like what he's selling to the corner when he shows up on Real Wisdom.
Right. So, Daniel, let me show you his LinkedIn. Schmachtenberger.
Ooh, it's like we're doing due diligence.
Why is this? This is stop. share. Uh, where?
What's up, Jason? I'm Grim.
Okay, so Daniel Schmechtenberger.
Mach 10. He's got Mach 10 in his name.
Wow, he took off where he went to school. So he was a he went to India and yeah, he went to India to like this Indian weird school where he started like he and his brother started a nutrient like vitamin company and they sell vitamins and stuff. They're
Okay.
yeah, it's um and so like he's your run of the mill like person who sells things to people who look for
A
who look
snake
for
oil
yeah,
salesman?
yeah,
That's what I was
snake oil.
thinking.
Yeah,
You,
that's exactly
you,
what
you
it is.
think our medical science hasn't advanced to the point that nootropics actually do things?
It's possible they do, but I doubt very much that anything Daniel Schmechtenberger sells does anything.
And so, what is this snake oil salesman doing in our little corner of the internet?
Selling snake oil.
But what is for sale? The Consilience Project?
I guess. I mean, he must like people pay attention to him, so like he's getting attention and like he lives off this stuff, right?
I have no idea how
He
lives
doesn't do
there.
anything productive with his life, I'm sure. He's not the type of person to be able to do anything productive with his life.
And your indicators for that are
When I listen to him, it's obvious he's just mimicking, parroting words he heard from other things. He doesn't actually understand anything.
fascinating.
You're fascinated.
You're basing this giant rejection of an entire person based on that they sold nootropics. It doesn't look like you
No, no, no,
consume.
no, no. I based it on listening to him and understanding what he was saying was complete bullshit, and then looking into him and seeing that he
All right,
has lived
where is
his
this?
entire life
Give me this
doing.
bullshit realization moment.
There's an ambulance going by and it's loud. Um,
Bet you
he,
wish you had insurance now. Oh,
so I was, I, I was listening. Well, I mean, I've heard him speak several times, and like every time I heard him speak, it was like he says some smart things that other people have said, and then he says some dumb things with equal gravity. And then I was listening to PVK talking about him, and I noticed that PVK was saying things that are much smarter than anything Daniel Schmechtenberger actually said, and attributing them to Schmechtenberger because PVK is just smart enough to take like word salads and turn them into like better salads than the words.
well, all right. So let's look at it this way: like both the I think now defunct Stoa and the soon-to-be defunct Rebel Wisdom have been pushing this person as well as other people I consider the
Rebel Wisdom does this a lot. They
the
also
Burning
push
Man
Ken
folks.
Wilbur. They push.
That, that that adding a new crime to this doesn't help elucidate the one in question. But like they sold things to people that would can theoretically overlap into this corner, and we just let it happen.
Oh, sure. Our distributed cognition is definitely being like tainted. Sure. I have no good way of securing distributed cognition. I wish I did. I know of no good way to actually secure distributed cognition. Other,
Well,
yeah.
by like sharing warnings and securing others like use of their attention.
Well, I try, but I mean, how do you know that I'm not
You work
misleading
for
you?
the ADL, I know.
No, I don't. I don't like the ADL.
Yeah, they pay people not to like them. That's you don't make it anywhere in this world until you get haters. It's my hermeneutics of suspicion, my man.
You don't like
They're strong.
hermeneutics of suspicion.
I like neutered Hermans. They're- I'm very suspicious of them, though. Very suspicious.
Uh,
So no, but like the what's being sold, the disaster management, the severity of the potential cascading crises. That those topical, like, is he stealing actual facts that sound smart? And is that information not relevant to the reality in which we find ourselves?
okay, he says a lot of stuff that sounds smart. Some of it is actual smart stuff, and it's not like he's looking for stupid stuff. It's that he's actually trying to sound as smart as possible by repeating as many smart things as possible, just as long as they don't interfere with his, like, grift. And yes, I don't like the word grift and calling people grifters, but he is a grifter. Um, so I, it's not like I think he's somebody like Claire who's dangerous and trying to destroy our distributed cognition. Like Claire, she's trying to destroy our distributed cognition. Um, I just don't think Daniel Schmachtenberger is a good source of secure cognition. And I'm trying to elevate the voices of people who are good sources of good cognition, at least, although I have no way of securing cognition. The only ways I know to secure cognition are actual relationships with human beings, um, actually meeting people in real life, having conversations with people with video on. Those seem to using real names, even though I don't force that on you, but I try as much as
Real,
possible.
you
My
using
name
legal
is
fiction.
Jacob Faturecci.
That is the legal fiction you
That is
identify
an
yourself with.
identifier by which you can identify, find me, see who I
Legally.
am, see where I am.
Yeah,
And Marty, yes, this little corner has definitely been compromised because we've all been compromised.
yeah, your compromise is all soft, though. You assume the best about the compromisers. You,
Yeah.
like even the grift isn't very malevolent,
No,
really.
no, it's not. No, I don't. I mean, I think Schmechtenberger is dishonest, but like, not sure he's more dishonest than I am.
But is catastrophic risk awareness part of? See, for me, it's that's part of the red pill.
What do you mean?
Like the me that before I came to my current worldviews.
Mm.
It the stuff he goes on real wisdom talking about is the sort of thing that might have helped wake me out of the delusions I had been operating under previously in the blue pill situation.
Okay, he says some smart things. He says some not smart things. Some people might take some of the stuff he says and, no, you can't leave us, Jason. You will not be allowed to leave. Nope, you must not leave. I can't hear a word you're saying.
Sorry, this is Grim's show, and you guys are doing great. So I was gonna let you take up the screen. I can come back
Um,
later. Hates
Here,
me.
Grim can take up the screen.
Okay.
This is the Grim Show.
All right then.
No, you guys. I was just saying I mean, I was gonna still listen, but I was just gonna hop off.
Nope, you're not going anywhere.
All right. I'll chill
You
then.
are
I'll
not
just chill
allowed to
here.
leave.
I
All
like
right,
the
keep
comic
going,
relief.
Keep going. All right. Keep going, you guys. I'm listening.
So what were you saying, Grim?
I was saying no. You were still talking. I thought.
Um, what I'm trying to do is elevate the voices of people who are actually able to think. And Daniel Schmechtenberger is not one of them.
What's interesting is though is you don't seem to see any value about like helping rescue people deceived by. It's like you operate under the same belief structure that like it's everybody's own fault if they get taken advantage of.
No, I don't believe that at all. What are you talking about?
Well, like there's a grifter feeding on your community and just not list. You don't point out the stupid things.
Well, I try as best as I can. I don't know how he's making his money, other than people listening to him. I mean,
Well, going after somebody's rice bowl specifically isn't the problem, but if he's in the community saying things that are wrong and or
like
misleading,
I haven't heard him like he doesn't make a lot of sense. He's not a good source of cognition. I warn people about Game B. Game B is dangerous. That I've warned lots of people about.
it did seem very nefarious. Like
It is.
anything that starts out, "Hey, you got a parasite attached to you, buddy." Like you don't want to like
No,
anybody
that wasn't
putting
the
that in your
problem.
brain. No, but anybody
No.
putting that in your brain is acting nefariously.
Oh yeah,
It's like
Game
giving
B.
you an original sin.
Game B is definitely, and when people in our corner were talking about Game B, like I wrote a post on Facebook back when Facebook had notes, which I shared with people, and where I dissected why Game B is so bad, but like there aren't a lot of people paying attention to Game B
No,
around
but
us
did
as
you
far as
not just walk out of writing that thing with like three little things you could drop now to say game B is bad because of bop, bop, and bop?
Yes. So Game B is bad because it has unenforceable rules. It creates that they do enforce selectively against people. They create a toxic environment where people can be taken advantage of, and people do take advantage of people there.
And also regenerative motion.
I have no idea what that is.
It's from the commercial
For what?
for game B.
I don't remember
It's all about, yeah, it was like a big video game thing.
I don't remember this. What are you
Wow.
talking about? Game? No, I'm talking Game B, as in like the Jordan Hall.
Yes, yes, they made a video game trailer. It was, I mean, you
I
could,
don't remember this.
I'll bring it up while you make the case. Put somebody else, put yourself on screen and talk for a second. I'll find it.
I
for
am
you.
on screen.
No, but give yourself the big one. I'm not talking right now.
Oh. Okay, Jason, say something interesting.
I don't know. I was just reading the comments. Marty said, "Would you say that chaos and uncertainty has been weaponized and now monetized?" What's it? Okay, so I have a question though. What is this thing you're talking about? I'm just trying to listen so I can catch
Game
up.
B?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never heard of this.
So Game B is they call themselves a Scenius. It's a clique of people who
They call themselves a Cineas?
yeah, Scenius. That's what they call it.
How would you spell that if you were trying?
SCENIENIUS. Scenius.
Insidious? Okay.
Okay. So
This is
And-
the horrendous thing that everybody I know talks about game B means this. And Did you click share sound?
Oh, hold on. Okay. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Jump in about a minute. This is terrible.
Is that the red pill?
No, this is a different pill. It's not good for you.
What happened?
You have been initiated.
Huh?
Let's move. We haven't much time.
Good morning,
Time?
sucker.
Is that Schmechtenberger on the left?
I have no idea.
For what?
No, there's
Until
no
the
white people
parasite
allowed
takes
in
hold
this,
of you again.
unless they wear a mask.
You're weak, but you now have eyes to see.
What am I looking at? Where am I?
Like most everyone you know, you have been hijacked by a parasite. Your
Your
parasite was born
cognitive
of Game A.
whatever has been hacked by this parasite way of thinking.
The game you've been playing your whole life. It tells you how to think, feel, and what to do.
Now that you are temporarily free of its influence, we'd like to take you on a journey.
A journey? To where?
Don't forget
A
the
journey
regenerative
to
motion,
Game
guys.
B.
The journey to Game B.
What? What'd you say, Grim?
I said, don't forget the regenerative motion, guys.
Is a story about the relationship between humanity, technology, and nature. It's a story not only about survival, but the potential for thriving. You and your tribe will be among the first people to play Game B.
We have traced our steps back to the beginning, just before the dawn of human civilization. Before Game A, there was the first game.
We didn't have an alphabet when we made this game.
The first game was our most enduring and successful game. A game we played for over 100,000 years.
Our
Ugh,
nomadic
this is
ancestors
painful.
stood apart from their natural cohabitants in their special ability to adapt across all bioregions of the Earth. The key
Thanks
to their
for being
adaptability
genetically
was
engineered.
What?
Thanks to them being genetically engineered. But
culture, a new strategy for group cooperation. These early nomadic cultures operated with
So they're just selling Maoism.
yeah, it's like, congratulations, you've had a parasite on you your whole life that controls your way of thinking. Now think like we tell you. It's very
Basically,
disturbing,
yeah, it's
Uh,
Game B has no saving throws. Oh, Chris,
Sure.
Rabbi Molot lives where you do. You should say hi to him.
So why did this get traction then? Is it just kind of some form of like Gnosticism or something? Or
because
it's,
of proximity to our corner.
Okay.
The people most involved with it, Brett Weinstein was involved with it when it first started. The people most, Jordan Greenhall, who changed his name to Jordan Hall because, and that's a move that only a grifter will make his name easier to remember and use, but more difficult to Google.
Okay, can you take this down or like mute it and play it while you talk?
I can mute it and play it. So Jordan Greenhall, Paul Rudd or Rutner or something like that.
Oh, Rudd. From Mad
Maybe I'm
About
thinking
You?
of the wrong person. And Daniel Schmechtenberger are probably the people best known for Game B. And their claim is, oh, we've figured out a way for us not to be competitive and to cooperate because capitalism is evil. And we're going to cooperate by everybody being great and good to each other and communist. And it, of course, doesn't work because it's bullshit.
But it's so worth all the effort they put into it just to get that mocking voice out of you.
Okay.
That was wonderful. Thank you for the blessing.
Oh shit! This parasite's waking up. Oh my goodness! What's gonna happen? Oh no!
Oh, this
If-
is the regenerative motion
I,
part. Turn the sound
I
on.
think I'm buying into this now, guys. I'm sold.
Wait, just wait.
Nature's abundance
All right.
functions in a constant state of regenerative motion. This is wholeness. As stewards, all players in the human tribe must move with nature's cycles,
Must.
as our nomadic ancestors once did.
Here, take this talisman.
Oh,
In
look,
the
I
first
got a
game,
thing.
cooperation was the rule.
What?
The
What's that, the
regenerative
pill?
motion, man.
Why are we bothering with this?
Because
It's
you hadn't seen it, and that like, it's
malice
all I knew.
bullshit.
We have to protect our own, and that means like warning them about the grifters and whatnot. And that
Crispy.
means calling out the giant.
Game B
bull.
is not just a church community; it's a cult.
What's the difference between a cult and a church community?
A cult is a small group which causes its members to have a negative relationship with broader society.
Like the Pentecostals.
No. Like the witnesses, maybe, to some
Jehovah.
extent.
Because see, to me, cult.
They are kind of cultish, yeah.
Like I worked in the medical field enough. Like cults and cultures. To me, cultures is bacteria. It's just how
Rabbi,
things
be
grow.
really, really careful with Claire. But go ahead.
That's gonna be great. It's nice when the love connections can be made. No.
Chris
No.
Picau says, I never said it was a good church. Yes, it's a bad church.
All right, we'll take this off the screen then.
Take what off the screen?
The bad church.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I'm thinking. What are you doing?
There you go.
Okay. That's all. That's all. It's like you talk all this smack about he's a grifter, but it's all this weak sauce. You have nothing specific. And now the due diligence of knowing he sold nootropics once. The Greenhall name change. That's nice. But just the general distrust and this.
The whole no. The Game B, the way Game B works is they use a lot of, so jargon can be good or bad. So, for example, John Vervaeke uses a lot of jargon, and he uses it because he's trying to define new concepts in ways so that people can think about it differently than they can think about things in a new way. And so that people can have basically a container in which to put in thoughts. So as a handle, as a literal like handle that helps you pick things up, a new word, a neologism can be very useful. On the other hand, people can use neologisms in order to obfuscate and confuse people. And so the only way to know if that's happening is to actually have a very big vocabulary, know if what people are changing, creating neologisms is actually a new concept that's actually useful in some way, or are they just changing the names of old concepts so that people can't actually reject them easily?
Like candy coating.
And worse than candy coating, I would call it more like camouflage. And so what Game B does with all its neologisms is it uses a lot of new words and terminology in order to confuse people, in order to keep them from rejecting bad thoughts. They also have a lot of rules which can be selectively enforced to make people feel bad, like, for example, always assume good intent, right? So anytime somebody is critical, like if I were in their Facebook group, which I looked at the rules of their Facebook group, and the first thing I said was, there's no way I'm joining their Facebook group. But if I joined their Facebook group and then I was critical of some of the things they said, they could say, you're not following rule. They have like rule 1, they have the alpha rule and the omega rule, which are, they won't say what they are, and those two rules can be used to get rid of anybody they who's actually saying, like, making sense of stuff. Game B is the attempt to create an economy outside of capitalism. So let me translate that to words people can understand. Game B is an attempt to create wetness without water, with which religious communities have been doing for a long time. That's why it's a church. I will post here the official Marty Stouffer question of the day to you cognitively trustworthy peoples. Is man capable of absolute selflessness? A person capable of absolute selflessness is worthless.
Ouch.
If you give a homeless person a $20 bill, you're a horrible person. You still receive something in return. You get to feel like a good person. Right. A person who is completely selfless is dead or otherwise worthless. If you have no self, if you have no actual desire to like accomplish anything in your life, you're worthless.
It's interesting that, like, selflessness is a spot between self-love and self-destruction.
Is it?
Yes.
I think it's just self-destruction.
Yeah, can you elaborate on that more?
Well,
It's an interesting statement.
I give you selflessness would be the amount of care you turn toward yourself. And so if you really love yourself, you're not selfless. But if you really hate yourself and you're self-sabotaging, then, like, you're still extending care toward yourself. It's just negative care. So selflessness is kind of in between the two. But, like, you get out of the way, like,
Yeah.
of whatever is happening to be part of what's going on.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
What are you doing, Jacob?
I am showing you what true selflessness is.
This is the parasite.
No, he hasn't put it in yet.
Oh, okay.
Where was
This is
that?
still regenerative motion. Bloody Hell
Oops,
Hotel.
no, that's
Vampire
not it.
horror meets Stardew
What am I looking
Valley.
at?
Where? Sorry.
Well, I mean, don't you need to be selfless to some degree, or in order to care for someone else?
Who wants to read?
Or
I
is
like-
this
Jason,
just kind of
you read.
semantics? Oh no, there's lots of big words in here. All right, I can't even read that first word. What is this?
Soku Shinbutsu!
That works. Soku Shimbutsu are a kind of Buddhist mummy. In Japan, the term refers to the practice of Buddhist monks observing asceticism to the point of death and entering mummification while alive. Mummified monks are seen in a number of Buddhist countries. Only in Japan are they believed to have induced their own death by starvation. Especially in South Asian countries, the monks die through natural causes, after which their bodies are mummified. Want me to keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, it is believed in Japan many hundreds of monks tried, but only 24 such mummifications have been discovered to date. In 2022, there is a common suggestion that Shingon school founder Kukai, I don't know, brought this practice from Tang, China as part of a secret tantric practices he learned during the 20th century. Japanese scholars found very little evidence of self-starvation of Shokushinbutsu. They rather concluded that mummification took place after the demise of the monk practicing this kind of asceticism.
So the monks do this to themselves.
How is that not selfishness? I'm so cool, I'm gonna meditate more harder than all the other boys.
Until I die.
And yeah. So that doesn't seem like selflessness at all, sir. How dare you bring it forth as an example?
This is selflessness. This is how you become completely selfless.
So selflessness we're using that in the forms of like the Buddhist practices of completely removing yourself from all equation.
That is selflessness.
Because
I mean,
self-destruction, I would agree with Grim that self-destruction seems more like it's not selfless at all. It's more of a
It's like, this place
You're
is
too focused
terrible.
on-
I want out of here
yeah, you're focused
because
on yourself.
I
and all
want
that.
out of here.
Yeah,
who's
but the
Jacob
selfless.
Sonnenberg? I don't know
this-
Jacob Sonnenberg. Do you know Jacob Sonnenberg?
Well, I knew he was lurking, but I don't know him.
The selflessness of Buddhism is kind of like a disintegration, though, right? It's like a complete removal of your identity,
I mean,
right?
if
or something.
if you're selfless, you mean that you're worthless. Like, what's the difference between selfless and worthless?
Worthless doesn't do what it's supposed to.
You're a racist, Graham.
Selfless
Well, yeah, who
can
said
still
direct
do things for other people.
If you're doing things for other people, then you are doing things.
What if it's just laying there? Taking one for the team.
So
Is taking one for the team a selfless act or a selfish act? Because then you get to be the one who took one for the team. Ooh, aren't you the special boy? I mean,
I'm telling you, I see nothing like this idea of selflessness as something good. It's just BS.
It seems like I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's just kind of semantics to me. I mean, I understand what you're getting at, but
he's very pro selfishness. You have to understand that.
all right.
And he's just being defensive, really.
Yeah.
I think that what you need to do is sanctify yourself. You need to make yourself into a vessel for godliness. I think you need to embody godliness, but that's not selflessness. That is embodying godliness.
What is
I'm
this,
such a great
quote-
self.
let me
I'm
quote
going to clean
George
out
McDonald for
for
you.
God.
Can I get
Yes.
that on here?
Yes,
That
quote
guy?
from George Mac. Donald.
Did it cut out?
Go ahead, quote it.
Quote away. You were going to quote George MacDonald to
Oh
us?
yeah, sorry. I was glitched up on my end, I guess. Do you want me to?
Yes.
And see what you guys think of this? Because I just read this the other day, actually. Let's see. Where does it say? Okay. Self will come to life even in the slaying of self, but there is ever something deeper and stronger than it, which will emerge at last from the unknown abysses of the soul. Will it be a solemn gloom burning with eyes, or a clear morning after the rain, or a smiling child that finds itself nowhere and everywhere? That last part was a bit mystical. So he's basically talking about, here, I'll just read the whole thing. Let's see. Then first I knew the delight of being lowly, of saying to myself, I am what I am, nothing more. I have failed, I said, I have lost myself. Would it had been my shadow. I looked round, the shadow was nowhere to be seen. Ere long I learned that it was not myself, but only my shadow that I had lost. I learned that it was better, 1,000-fold, for a proud man to fall and be humbled than to hold up his head in his pride and fancied innocence. I learned that he that will be a hero will barely be a man, and that he will be nothing but a doer of his work, is sure of his manhood. In nothing was my ideal lowered, or dimmed, or grown less precious. I only saw it too plainly, to set myself for a moment beside it. Indeed, my ideal soon became my life, whereas formerly my life had consisted in a vain attempt to behold, if not my ideal in myself, at least myself in my ideal. Now, however, I took at first that what perhaps was mistaken pleasure in despising and degrading myself. Another self seemed to arise, like a white spirit from a dead man, from the dumb and trampled self of the past. Then he says, doubtless this self must again die and be buried, and again, from its tomb, spring a winged child. But of this my history as yet bears still no record. Self will come to life even in the slaying of self. So, and then it gets to that point. So what do you guys think of that? Of the, just weird?
Well, I think it answers Pascal's question.
Are we
What
certain
is-
self exists? I am certain self does exist, yes.
Like there's a narrative self, and there will be like the way we experience reality and our brain functions. That I am. It makes the I am. Like just as I am the collection of like stimuli that change are affected by like certain motions. That clump will clump in our brains as a self. I think.
So
and how does that happen?
there's a Hasidic concept called yeshut, being, which must be nullified. And that is the sense that we exist when, in actuality, only God exists. And he has created, God hides himself from the world so that we may exist. Because if God were revealed, then we would become nullified to him. So, what we must do in seeing through the veil is realize that we don't actually exist, that only God exists. And that sort of bitul, of nullification of the self, is in fact a good thing. But it's only a good thing if you realize that God does exist. If you nullify yourself without a recognition of the existence of God, you just destroy.
Okay, but could you nullify yourself in recognizing the existence of just without God, but just someone other than you, like in a form of like it? I mean, when you do a selfless act, like to give someone money or something, is that kind of the same concept or no?
There's a problem with a selfless act, right?
Uh huh.
Because who is acting when you do a selfless act?
I see.
Ooh,
Okay.
I got one for you. What if there was a pill that was guaranteed to give you amnesia for what you did for the next 10 minutes? And in that 10 minutes after you took the pill, you do a selfless act. Then was the act selfless?
No, you just forgot.
You just forgot.
Your lack of knowledge of it doesn't mean change
Well,
what
it means
happened.
it can't be incorporated into your narrative self
Okay.
without your knowledge of it.
Look,
I see what you're saying.
if a tree falls in the forest on your head and you forget that it hit your head, did it still hit your head?
It depends on whether or not there's measurable damage.
Well, it's
I could have
enough
just dreamed
damage
it
that
hit
you
my head.
forgot.
The point, the point is like the self, like the way people say that you're doing it selfishly for yourself. Has got to be in like the way you're able to view your own narrative self. Or
If yourself, if by self you recognize that you are a vessel for God in his creation, then doing things for yourself is a good thing. So Marty says, giving of yourself, being of service to others with no reciprocal benefit, which is impossible. I'm simply wondering if that exists. No. Or is this all just an every man for himself grift? Also no. False dichotomy. What you are capable of doing is embodying the divine. And in doing that, and God being love, and the Hebrew word for love is ahava, which has the root hav in it, which is to give, right? So to love is to give, and God being love by his very nature gives, and if we embody God, we give. What?
Like, I'm all big on the screen and you're doing all the talking, so I figured I could at least be entertaining with my face.
You could, yes. I think we have several selves. Okay. Taking the pill would nullify the selflessness. You took an action to chemically erase the benefit.
Yeah, this benefit here, the self, what does it, what does a selfless act benefit?
I have a question. Can I paint a scenario? So if you're saying this, the selfless act is ultimately incorporated in your own narrative to how you perceive yourself. What if you, like you said, take the fall for someone and you become the scapegoat? So then, I'm trying to think.
Then
Yeah,
you get the benefit is seeing yourself as
There is no
selfless.
such thing as a selfless act, because if it's an act, then yourself did it.
But when
You're being autistic about the semantics. Selfless act means like to where, like, if you do something, like say you sacrifice yourself and lay down your life for your brothers and get crucified on a cross.
Okay.
Like, that's an example of a selfless act, because it's like you think less of yourself than you do of others, so they call it a selfless act. That's what it means.
Okay, so if thinking of others more than yourself is selfless, then that's just, then why don't you just call it think more as opposed to selfless?
You could call it other more.
No, think more.
Think more.
Yes. I am starting
obfuscation,
thinking
right?
more. The answer to our problems is think more.
You're being an obfuscationist now, and I won't tolerate it.
I am not.
Think more is less clear than like think selfless.
No, because the real thing you need to do is think more, not selfless.
Oh, well, that was one of the more think more acts I've ever seen anyone do, Jacob. Way to go. What you're saying makes no sense.
The problem is we don't think more, we self less. We should think more instead of selfing less.
You've lost it, sir.
If the self exists outside of an all-encompassing, you forgot the N in an all-encompassing, one universal self, then all you ever do will only ever be for you.
If we all exist in God, then everything we do is for God, even when I stab you in the face.
I thought we're not supposed to think for ourselves. Yes, you should not think for yourself.
Think for me.
You should think for others, yes. You should think for others.
Well, that's a think more act if I've ever heard of one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an example I was thinking of in Ecclesiastes where it says the poor man saves the city and no one remembers the poor man. So
where is this in Ecclesiastes? I don't remember this verse.
The end of chapter 9.
Ecclesiastes 9.
So
Quit making me the center of the screen, Jacob. I'm tired of it.
9 verse 15. Now there was found in a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city, yet no one remembered the same poor man. So in that scenario, I guess, is kind of what I'm wondering, like this, like in his own head, I guess he gets to remember himself being the hero, but no one else does. So what does that ultimately even benefit him? Like, he just, you don't, I guess you could go to sleep with a good conscience, but
that's one of the most valuable things in the world.
That is true. But is it ultimately, if the world remembers you as the bad guy, is it I don't know that would even be self-serving, that would seem to be, what is it, what's the term we're using now, a think more, not selfless, it's a think more act.
Don't fall for this obfuscation of scripters terms, man.
But he saved the city with his wisdom.
Yes. Yes.
And the problem is that people did not remember. So they
Yeah.
should have thought more.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, think more is the answer.
Think more.
All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna go think more, Jacob. Thanks for having me on your show.
It was nice meeting you.
It's meeting me.
Nice meeting. Should put Chris in here. I've never actually talked to him in person.
Chris,
Does he ever come on here?
he was
Oh, yeah, he
supposed to
just
be on
was.
here on Monday with his wife, but somebody rescheduled.
It's that baby, right? Her baby got in the way.
The baby does. The babies do things. I sent you a link, Chris, if you want to come. If we are all one and you stab someone, you stab yourself. Yeah, but you're not going to bed, so you might as well come on.
If you're all one, you stab someone, you stab yourself.
So what do you want to talk about? You wanted to talk about something.
Yeah, I've been on for a while, but yeah, I watched your video with Michael, right, and his wife.
Mandy Sartori.
Okay, yeah, that was really interesting. You had a bunch of let me see. I tried to make a few notes because there was a lot of stuff that I'd like to get into at some point. I mean, it might be kind of weird to start now after going so long into this. You're almost 2 hours in, but it was all based around that idea you brought up earlier about the looking through the glass dimly and Christians looking through it dimly, and I thought that would be really interesting to explore, because you're saying you need to look through the Old Testament to properly look at Jesus, is what you're saying.
So, okay.
And Christians are looking through Paul at the Old Testament or something.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so I think of Paul kind of like sunglasses.
Uh-huh.
Because when you're coming from a pagan, so Gentiles were coming out of paganism, they could not stand the full light of the Torah. So God created Paul so that he could obscure things so that people could accept the things they could accept. And then after they accepted what Paul had to teach, they could then start understanding the actual Torah.
Okay. So, but you actually disagree with a lot of what Paul says, right?
Right. I think what Paul added to Jesus was all the wrong stuff.
Okay. I mean, that would be probably a lot of different details to pick up on, though. But you did say something about when you were talking about Jesus, you said you kind of had a revelation through when you were looking at communion or something.
Right. So what happened was I was trying to explain to people what Jesus may have been teaching from a Jewish standpoint. Okay?
Yeah, I think I've heard you mention this before, but it would probably be good for me to hear it again.
And so I was trying to understand how we went from Kiddush, which is a Jewish thing, to communion, which is the opposite of a Jewish thing. Symbolically, cannibalism, not a Jewish thing.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that as well. I've been trying to because it's definitely in the Old Testament. Don't do this.
Yeah. So what I did was I pulled up the where were we? This isn't it. You know what? I am going to close this window so it stops confusing me. And I'm going to pull up this window. And I am going to go to Wikipedia. And I am going to pull up communion. No, that's Eucharist. There we go. And I am going to put this up so that people can see it. And so I was trying to figure out what this Eucharist thing is. And so I looked at this chart they have, this handy dandy chart. Where's the handy dandy chart? There was a handy dandy chart here. I can't seem to find the handy dandy chart that I remember being here. Where is the handy dandy chart that they had here? Am I looking at the wrong thing? Why am I not finding the handy dandy chart? Okay, I am going to make this normal size, and then I am going to look for the handy dandy chart. History, origin of the Eucharist. This may have the there is the handy dandy chart. You see the handy dandy chart?
Yeah, okay, that's
yes.
Yeah.
So I was looking at this handy dandy chart, and I noticed that it said, "This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for the many." And it says the same thing, which is poured out for the many, and it says the same thing.
But it does say in the Matthew one, it does say right before that, drink from it, all of you. Is that, do you think that might not be connected to the pouring out part, or no? Because it looks, the first one in Mark, it looks like they drink first, and then he says, "This is the blood," and you.
Well,
or, I don't know.
What my thinking about the Christian Bible is that it was that the weird things that make no sense are probably the things which are original. Okay. Because it makes sense for people to put things in which help make it sense, but it doesn't make sense for people to put things in which doesn't make sense, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I was like, so what's it talking about when it says poured out, right? Because initially I just assumed it was poured, like as in poured into a cup, right? Poured.
Okay.
But when I went and looked at it, let's look at the Greek. This is Luke 22:20.
It's like poured out on the ground, right? Like David did.
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know Greek very well. That's not it. Bible Hub. I don't know Greek, but I tried looking at the Greek. Where is the Greek? There is the Greek, and it says poured out ekainommenon.
Yeah, I don't know the word.
Yeah, I don't know that word either. So I asked, and ultimately I asked, but making sense in science, faith is not science. Yeah, go away. You have a very, very bad and silly way of looking at faith. Okay, so I asked Paul to ask him, because if it meant poured out, and this was at a seder, there is something we pour out. There's this one part of the ritual which I always thought was very central, but most people don't. And I always found very important, and most people don't. And one time I was at a rabbi's table, and he had an explanation which he was like, this is very Kabbalistic. You might like it. And he handed it to me, and I sat there trying to understand it. And it talked about how that part is talking about the blood of Mashiach ben Yosef.
Okay.
So those two came together, and I had the idea, what if Jesus was saying that actually he's Mashiach ben Yosef? Not Mashiach ben David, but Mashiach ben Yosef.
Okay, so this is Yosef to Genesis, right? Is that
Right.
what you mean? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Also called Mashiach ben Ephraim because Mashiach ben Ephraim is supposed to be through the line of Ephraim.
Okay.
There is the Josephite Messiah, which is different from the Davidic Messiah. And it's a completely different idea, which Jews don't talk to Christians very much, because every time we talk to Christians about it, Christians assume that it's Jesus, and it's like it's something completely different.
So what's the key differences between these two?
Mashiach ben Yosef is going to come and be the Messiah and rule and all that stuff.
Okay.
And Mashiach that's the Davidic Messiah. The Josephite Messiah, all we know about him is that he is going to die, and that there are going to be eulogies for him like the eulogies for an only son.
Where does that stem from? Why is that? Is that from the scripture, or is that
yes.
from okay.
So I actually have this book on Amazon.
Is it? Do they base that off of the lamenting of Egypt or something? The great mourning they made for Joseph?
No. So this book right here is written by a Christian, and I own it. See, I purchased it.
Messiah. Okay. Yeah.
And I could send it to you if you want.
That's okay. I can.
So this is the first book that's about Mashiach ben Yosef that's been written, I believe, ever, by in English. And so let's look at the sources for Mashiach ben Yosef in Wikipedia. Mashiach ben Yosef. So
Sea Scrolls. Let's see.
Where is Zechariah 1:18 through 21 in the Christian?
All right, let's look at it. The camera above right here. 1:18.
1:18. Oh, that's the four craftsmen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was another thing you mentioned in your conversation too. That it was,
yeah, that's so. This is the four craftsmen. Then I looked up, and there before me were four horns. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these?" He answered me, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem." Then the Lord showed me four craftsmen. I asked, "What are these coming to do?" He answered, "These are the horns that scattered Judah so that no one could raise their head, but the craftsmen have come to terrify them and throw down these horns of the nations who lifted up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter its people." Then I looked up, and there was there before me was a line with a measuring so like.
So these four craftsmen, one of them is Ben Yosef.
Yes. So according to the four craftsmen are discussed in Babylonian Talmud, Sukkah 52b. Rav Hana bar Bizna, attributed to Rav Simon ben Hasida, identified these four craftsmen as Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef, Elijah, and the righteous priest.
Okay. So who's the righteous priest?
Good question.
Is that like Melchizedek,
no
maybe?
I would say no.
Okay. So what's the Ben Yosef, Mashiach ben Yosef is
Mashiach
like
ben,
ben
or
Yosef.
Josephite Messiah, you can say.
So the idea with that is that it is a type of Messiah, but he comes and then he just kind of dies, and then people lament him, or
Well, that's the question. So Zechariah 12:10.
I think I remember you talk. I think you talked to Chris about this actually, right?
I
remember you guys
did.
yeah.
I also spoke to David about it. I speak about this a lot. This is my little thing.
On the House of David.
And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is the Josephite Messiah.
Okay. That's just. I mean, it's interesting. I just don't know how they come to all those conclusions with the. Like, I don't know how you piece that together.
You kind of don't.
Okay.
See, that's part of the thing. These are things which are esoteric teachings that are not like, this isn't ABC. This is like Talmud and calculus.
Okay.
And so when Christians start asking about it, the general answer is, this is something else, go away.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I just, I mean, I think you could get there in terms of when you're digging and looking at like symbolism and trying to get like the one verse that always I kind of try to it kind of undergirds like maybe how I try to approach the scripture is that one part in where God picks out David and he says, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart." And so trying to look at like the spirit of the matter, like I think you could maybe come to this conclusions. I'm just not sure how they got there. Like why would Joseph would be the one whom they pierced?
You have to understand that there's also a lot of things that talk about Joseph. For example, Obadiah.
Okay.
Obadiah. And there's only one chapter of Obadiah.
Yeah. And it talks about Joseph in there.
And Obadiah 1:18 says, "Jacob will be a fire, and Joseph a flame. Esau will be stubble, and they will set him on fire and destroy him. There will be no survivors from Esau. The Lord has spoken." And also where it talks about the valley of dry bones. Which chapter is that?
Ezekiel 30, I think, or 30, either 30 or 33.
Ezekiel.
Let me look. I'm hopping over there right now. 30. I think it's. Let me see. Ezekiel. Oh wait, am I in the wrong thing? Ezekiel. I thought it was Ezekiel. It's 37. Sorry, I'm way off. Ezekiel
way
37.
Off.
Yeah.
And then it talks about the staff of Joseph, the stick of Joseph, and the stick of.
Okay, yeah. The stick of Joseph.
Where is that?
That is verses. It starts at 15 when he starts talking about that. The stick of Joseph.
The word of the Lord came to me. "Son of man, take a stick of wood and write on it, belonging to Judah and the Israelites associated with him. Then take another stick of wood and write on it, belonging to Joseph, that is to Ephraim and all the Israelites associated with him. Join them together into one stick so that they will become one in your hand. when your people ask you, won't you tell us what you mean by this? Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am going to take the stick of Joseph, which is in the Ephraim's hand, and of the Israelite tribes associated with him, and join it to Judah's stick. I will make them into a single stick of wood, and they will become one in my hand. So Christians generally want to say that this means that the Josephite Messiah and the Davidic Messiah will be one person, which is Jesus, and there will be two comings. But I think, no, there's going to be two different sticks, yet in God's hand, they will be as one. So, two different messiahs that will come together.
Okay.
And for me, that means Christian, like the stick of Joseph, which I believe is actually Christianity, will eventually come together with the stick of Judah, which is Judaism.
Well, that would be awesome.
I think so.
I think so too. So when you saw him in the when you kind of saw Christ in the communion thing, you saw it as Joseph, and that's what was
the Josephite. So my idea was possibly that so we believe that there is a Mashiach ben David in every generation. There's a Davidic Messiah who's ready to come, should people be ready for him to come.
Okay.
I actually think it's possible that was John the Baptist, and when he died, that's when Jesus understood that he was going to be the Josephite Messiah.
That's interesting. I've never even explored that before. That's really
Of course you haven't. I'm like the only person in the world who says such things.
So why would you think that John the Baptist would be the Davidic Messiah? Because most Christians
partially
would say that...
because of the discussion. So the meeting between Jesus and John the Baptist is the one thing that historians actually think definitely did happen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And while listening to the things, while reading what they said, it actually reminded me of what the Talmud says that Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef say to each other.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, see, I'm not familiar with any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But doesn't Jesus also say that... I thought there was a part where Jesus said that John the Baptist is Elijah, who is to come. There's something weird like that.
I don't actually believe, I don't actually believe in the New Testament as scripture. I believe it's just an interesting historical document which has some interesting things in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. That, especially... Yeah, but yeah, because one thing I've kind of wondered as well, which is I find it convicting, is that I feel like if I lived in that time and was a Jew and only read the Old Testament scriptures, and then Jesus showed up on the scene, I'm like, I don't think I would have recognized him as the way Christians claim to recognize him as the Messiah. I don't know that I would have. That's where I struggle with that too. I'm like, if I just stick to the Old Testament and just read the scriptures, and you said this before, like you don't think it actually leads you to a revealing of Christ. I don't know what would conclude me to believe that, because I think if that happened today, like if someone came up to me and said, "Oh, I'm so big on the screen now," and said, like, I don't have any brothers, I have sisters, but if I had brothers and someone came up and said, if your brother's the Messiah, I would probably be like, get out of here. Like, what are you... Like, I'm not believing
Well, okay, if you're actually taking the gospel seriously, you kind of have to believe that they're not serious. I'm sorry. Like, how do you seriously believe that there was, like, the angel and the magi and all that stuff?
What?
Yet,
You're crushing my faith here.
yet, at the same time, like, when Jesus goes back to his hometown, everybody's like, oh, he couldn't possibly be a prophet. Like, how do those things happen at the same time?
At the Magi coming and then him going back.
And the star and the Annunciation, and like he's this perfect kid, like he is God on earth.
Yeah.
And then everybody who grew up with him is like, nah, he's just that kid. Like, it's like, how do these two things jive together to you?
Well, even John the Baptist later on was like, supposedly when he was in prison, he sent his disciples to ask if he was the Messiah, which is kind of strange to me because he says,
yeah,
in the Gospel of John, when Jesus comes to be baptized, he said, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." And then later, when he gets thrown into prison, he says, "Are you the coming one, or should we look for another?" And
I'm sorry, the New Testament is just not credible.
I love it. I love it all. I have to, right?
Why do you have to?
Well,
you don't have to.
I guess I don't. Yeah, you're right. I guess I don't have to. But I mean, we could get into all the reasons, I guess, why I mean,
look, there are good things in it. If there weren't any good things in it, obviously it would spread.
Yeah.
But you can say the same thing of the Book of Mormon. Obviously, there are good things in the Book of Mormon, and you've heard my joke, right? Why did God create Mormons?
No, I don't know. Maybe I've heard this. Why? Why? What's the punchline?
So Christians know how Jews feel.
That is good. That's good. That's really good. Yeah. See, I don't know. Like the reason. I mean, I don't know that I want to get into all that right now. I mean, I could. I think that I see Christ as like the embodiment. You could even say the symbol of Christ, of God, of forgiveness, basically. And so
why does God need like? Okay, do you believe in penal substitutionary atonement? God have mercy on the souls of anyone who does.
And see, I'm not a theologian. I don't know these terms. Penal substitution. That's when.
That is the idea that we should suffer for our sins, and in order for us not to suffer for our sins, Jesus came and suffered in our stead.
See, yeah, I agree with that, but the way I think I agree with that is because
that's
I think
evil.
I think it happens. Okay, so here's why. I think it happens on every level. Like, I think that's just forgiveness. Maybe this is gonna sound strange to you, but like if
why does anybody need to suffer for your sins other than you?
Well, that's kind of what forgiveness is, right? Like, if I wronged you and then I repented towards you, and you would that's kind of, you're taking my sin upon you, and you're suffering for my wrongdoing.
No,
right?
No,
not okay.
No, not at all. Like, I have, if you wrong me and then I have suffered already. Like, you wronged me. Yeah. Me forgiving you, right, would be an act of kindness, but it doesn't hurt me more than not forgiving you.
It's ultimately more fulfilling to you, and it restores a relationship, and it brings
right.
life and gives life. Yeah.
Right.
I'm saying,
so, like, I gain by forgiving. I don't lose by forgiving.
But you are canceling the debt I owe you. Because there's, like, if I wronged you, there is,
first of all, there's nothing you can give to God. So anything you owe to God, like, it's like a little child who, like, buys their father presents, right? Like, if you buy your dad a really expensive gift with his money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, penal substitutionary atonement is the idea that God is actually taking your punishment upon himself, and that's why Jesus needed to be incarnated, was in order for the punishment, like the death that you should undergo, needed to be undergone by Jesus in order for God to whatchamacallit, to forgive you. James for the win. The title of this stream is misleading. Jacob, take the L twice in one night. Rip. I have no clue what you're saying.
Take the loss. What?
Yeah. Rest in
I
peace.
guess because we're on something totally different now. But and
well, we've always
I'm not
been
even
on
the
something
guest.
totally different.
Yeah,
Like this
that's
is
true.
this is how my streams work.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess just. I mean, I see what you're saying.
And I do have to point out that both the Eastern Orthodox and the Catholics believe that penal substitutionary atonement is a heresy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I haven't explored that.
Only the Protestants believe in it. And the funny thing is that the synod that what's his name? Paul Vanderklay attended.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
They declared two things have confessional status. One, that marriage is between man and a woman, and that sex outside of marriage is a sin. And two, penal substitutionary atonement. So, like, anybody who denies penal substitutionary atonement has been kicked out of the CRC.
But that's
who doesn't
Calvinist
believe? Sorry.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't believe in penal substitutionary atonement is kicked out of the CRC. So,
I could see that being necessary for Calvin, because it's Calvinist, right? That he's in. So they would have to have that if you believe in original sin, I would think. So yeah.
I mean,
in order for your
the Catholics believe in original sin, but they don't believe in penal substitutionary atonement.
Okay. Huh. Yeah.
Most Christians do not believe in penal substitutionary atonement, which I'm very glad to hear, because it is a heresy which I believe would lose you your salvation.
Okay, I don't know that I'm understanding it rightly. It's the idea that you sin and then you owe God something, and then He takes it upon Himself.
Right. That
Yeah.
Jesus pays that debt for you.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And it's a very legalistic view of punishment, and it goes against Ezekiel 18.
Okay, I think I understand more now. I guess what I was saying is, like, in experience, it seems like that's somewhat of how forgiveness kind of works. Is you're taking the debt upon yourself, or it's a cancellation of debt. So that's probably a crude way of putting it.
Cancellation, like the idea that Jesus needed to suffer in order for God to forgive you, is just heresy.
Yeah,
it's blasphemy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think he had to.
Yay, one fewer Protestant in the world.
Hey, I'm Protestant, right? I need to be. I was raised
you do?
Protestant. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad to be. I don't know what I am anymore. I'm just floating.
I don't know what I am either.
Yeah. No, I'd like to explore all these ideas more, though, because I'm not... I don't know. I haven't been down all these rabbit holes enough, I guess. And everything you were bringing up in that video, I thought was very intriguing.
You might want to check out my answers to Jeff and my discussion with Jeff. Okay. Jeff is Sam's dad.
Okay. Oh, I don't know if I watched that one. I thought I did. I don't know.
Before I had my conversation with Jeff, I had So he sent me a list of questions, and I spent like 3 hours answering them.
Oh, wow. Dang.
And Jeff is like the other guy I would have loved to do Bible study with, because he knows his Bible really well. He's Sam Adams' dad.
Okay, yeah. That would be fun if we could get him in the mix, too.
I would love to get him in the mix.
The only other person I know who actually knows their Bible really well is Mitch. I love getting into these discussions with him.
He is more than welcome.
I'll tell him that. He'd probably love to join. He helps me out a lot. He'll remind me of scriptures and everything. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm trying to. I don't know. My mind's kind of hopping all over here. Let me see what else I had on my phone. I can let you go, I guess. It's too.
No, I'm
it's
gonna stick
overcrowded.
around for another half an hour at least.
Okay. So okay, here's another question then, I guess, coming at this. So so what you're looking for a Davidic Messiah still, right?
Yes.
So what is that exactly? Because we mentioned theosis earlier, and Davidic Messiah is not the same thing as theosis, right?
No. Well, okay. So there are actual prophecies of the Messiah, and Christians never talk about these prophecies because none of them have come true. So maybe let's look at outreach Judaism. So this is Rabbi Tovia Singer's website. Why is this? This is the wrong page. This is the right page. So this is Rabbi Tovia Singer's website. And he has dual prophecy.
Oh man, I need to get into this stuff.
Oh, he's really good. He is like the best Baptist preacher, Baptist rabbi in the world.
Like, because I'm interested in all these questions. I've never actually been interested in like performing apologetics, but I like you in that video. You said something, and I've always thought it's good. Is you were just talking about really searching for truth, and how you were willing to actually accept Christ if it was actually true.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way. I'm like, if I actually believe, or if any Christian believes that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, then you should be willing to explore any question. And even, I mean, if you're actually looking for the way, the truth, and the life, then, and you actually believe that's Christ, then you would think, well, hey, let's just set it all aside, and it'll hold up. But why not explore all these questions and see where I go? Find which.
Well, I mean, there's this.
I want to welcome you here to the Hanasi Synagogue. I want to thank so many statues, and I would, at the very end of Matthew 23.
Let me see if I can find an article where he searched for prophecy Messiah.
So is it? But the Messiah, the Davidic Messiah, is it a singular person that people are looking for, like Christ?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I actually don't think that Jesus was a singular person.
Well.
Let me find prophecy.
So, but the Davidic Messiah would not be the son of God, or it would.
No.
Or
Well,
not like
I mean,
the
we're all
Christians
the children of God.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Like the actual prophecies of the Messiah, that are actual prophecies in the Messiah. Let me see, Jews for Judaism. This is another website that's good. Okay. So this is Jews for Judaism, which is a counter-missionary thing. What is the Jewish concept of the Messiah? The word Messiah is an English rendering of the Hebrew word Mashiach, translating as anointed. There are many Messiahs in the Bible, since every king and high priest was anointed, and it gives you things. The Hebrew word HaMashiach, describing a future anointed person to come, does not appear anywhere in the Bible. Where does the Jewish concept of Messiah come from? One of the central themes of biblical prophecy is the promise of a future age of perfection characterized by universal peace and recognition of God. Isaiah 2:1-4, Zephaniah 3:9, Hosea 2:20-22, Amos 9:13-15, Isaiah 35, right? And then these prophetic. So, I mean, we can look through all of these if you would like.
No, I mean it's okay. We don't have to do that now, but I can look towards them. Prophetic passages. Can you drop that in like the chat
Yes.
or something? Maybe I'll pull up the. I'll pull up the tab or something. I can try to look later. Oh, nice.
Hello, CHG Longstone. I have no idea who you are.
Don't show us your penis.
Welcome. Can you explain Chabad? No. Chabad is a Hasidic dynasty. Hasidism is a movement within Orthodox Judaism that started about 300 years ago. And Chabad is one of the dynasties within that movement. Beyond that, you're going to have to ask questions.
So how are you supposed to recognize the Davidic Messiah? How is that thought to happen?
So we can turn to Maimonides, Laws of Kings and War, chapter 11.
Oh, this is from Deuteronomy?
No, this is Maimonides.
Oh, okay.
Maimonides is one of the probably, I would say, the first actual codifier of Jewish law. And this is probably one of the best known and most widely followed codifications of the Jewish beliefs regarding the coming of the Messiah. It is the last two chapters of his code called the Mishneh Torah, which I usually translate as Restatement of the Law. And in Laws of Kings and Wars, chapters 11 and 12, this is an uncensored version because it has the end of 11.4 in it, which was censored by the Catholics. And we can read through it if you would like. In the future, the Messianic king will arise and renew the Davidic dynasty, restoring it to its initial sovereignty. He will build the temple and gather the dispersed of Israel. Then in his days, the observance of all the statutes which will return to their previous state. We will offer sacrifices, observe the sabbatical and jubilee years according to all their particulars as described by the Torah. Anyone who does not believe in him or does not await his coming denies not only the statements of other prophets, but those of the Torah and Moses our teacher. The Torah testifies to his coming as Deuteronomy 3 through 5 states, God will bring back your captivity and have mercy upon you. He will again gather you from among the nations. Even if your diaspora is at the ends of the heavens, God will gather you up from there and bring you to the land. These explicit words of the Torah include all the statements made by all the prophets. Reference to Mashiach is also made in the portion of Bilam, who prophesied about two anointed kings. The first anointed king, David, who saved Israel from her oppressors, and the final anointed king, who will arise from his descendants and save Israel in the end of days. That passage, Numbers 24:17 through 18, relates, I see it now, but not now. This refers to David. I perceive it, but not in the near future. This refers to the Messianic king. A star shall go forth from Jacob. This refers to David. And a staff shall arise in Israel. This refers to the Messianic king. Crushing all of Moab's princes. This refers to David. As 2 Samuel 8:2 relates, he smote Moab and measured them with a line. Decimated all of Seth's descendants. This refers to the Messianic king about whom Zechariah 9:10 prophesied, he will rule from sea to sea. Edom will be demolished. This refers to David, as 2 Samuel 8:6 states, Edom became the servants of David. Seir will be destroyed. This refers to the Messianic king, as Obadiah 1:21 prophesies. Saviors will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esav. Similarly, with regard to the cities of refuge, Deuteronomy 19:8 through 9 states, when God will expand your borders, you will add 3 more cities. This commandment was never fulfilled. Surely God did not give this commandment in vain. There is no need to cite proofs from the works of the prophets, for all their books are filled with mention of this matter. One should not presume that the Messianic king must work miracles and wonders, bring about new phenomena in the world, resurrect the dead, or perform other similar deeds. This is definitely not true that he must. He's not necessarily saying he will not. Proof can be brought from the fact that Rabbi Akiva, one of the greater sages of the Mishnah, was one of the supporters of King Bar Koziba. This is Bar Kochba. And would describe him as the Messianic king. He and all the sages of his generation considered him to be the Messianic king until he was killed because of his sins. Once he was killed, they realized that he was not the Messiah. The sages did not ask him for any signs or wonders. The main thrust of the matter is this Torah, its statutes, and its laws are everlasting. We may not add to them or detract from them. If a king will arise from the king of house of David, who diligently contemplates the Torah and observes its mitzvot as prescribed by the written law and the oral law, as David, his ancestor, will compel all of Israel to walk in the way of the Torah and rectify the breaches in its observance, and fight the wars of God, we may, with assurance, consider him a Mashiach. If he succeeds in the above, builds the temple in its place, and gathers the dispersed of Israel, he is definitely the Messiah. He will then improve the entire world, motivating all the nations to serve God together, as Zephaniah 3:9 states, I will transform the peoples to a purer language, that they all will call upon the name of God and serve him with one purpose. If he did not succeed to this degree or was killed, he surely is not the Redeemer promised by the Torah. Rather, he should be considered as all the other proper and complete kings of the Davidic dynasty who died. God caused him to arise only to test the many, as Daniel 11:35 states, and some of the wise men will stumble to try them, to refine and to clarify until the appointed time, because the set time is in the future. And this is the portion that was censored. Jesus of Nazareth, who aspired to be the Messiah and was executed by the court, he is believing what Christians said. This is also brought in the Talmud, but I would say that they were just believing what the Christians said, was also alluded to in Daniel's prophecies, as Ibid 11:14 states, the vulgar among your people shall exalt themselves in an attempt to fulfill the vision, but they shall stumble. Can there be a greater stumbling block than Christianity? All the prophets spoke of the Messiah as the Redeemer of Israel and their Savior, who would gather their dispersed and strengthen their observance of the mitzvot. In contrast, Christianity caused the Jews to be slain by the sword, their remnants to be scattered and humbled, the Torah to be altered, and the majority of the world to err and serve a God other than the Lord. Nevertheless, the intent of the Creator of the world is not within the power of man to comprehend, for his ways are not our ways, nor are his thoughts our thoughts. Ultimately, all the deeds of Jesus of Nazareth and that Ishmaelite, he means Muhammad, who arose after him, will only serve to prepare the way for Mashiach's coming and the improvement of the entire world, motivating the nations to serve God together, as Zephaniah 3:9 states, I will transform the people to a pure language, that they all will call upon the name of God and serve him with one purpose. And this is part of the reason why Zephaniah 3:9 is my kind of the motto of this channel, because he mentions it twice in this one halacha. How will this come about? The entire world will already become filled with the mention of Mashiach, Torah, and mitzvot. These matters have been spread to the furthest islands, and remember, he wrote this almost 1,000 years ago, before the discovery of the New World, to many stubborn-hearted nations. they discuss these matters and the mitzvot of the Torah, saying, these mitzvot were true, but they were already negated in the present age and are not applicable for all time. Others say implied in the mitzvot are hidden concepts that cannot be understood simply. The Mashiach has already come and revealed those hidden truths. When the true Messianic King will arise and prove successful, his position become exalted and uplifted, they will all return and realize that their ancestors endowed them with a false heritage, and their prophets and ancestors caused them to err. There's also another chapter we could go on to, but I thought you might want to talk about this one for now.
There's a lot there, that's for sure. I don't know, the first part when they were going through the prophecy of Balaam, I don't know how you say it.
Bilam.
I didn't understand how they came to that conclusion at all. Like why would that? When I'm reading that, if I'm just reading with no other context, if I'm just sticking to scripture, and I see it, but not now. I don't know why I would leap. My mind would not leap to connect that to David, and then I perceive it. Yeah.
So there are multiple levels of understanding any Bible verse. The simple meaning, obviously, is the simple meaning. But there are further meanings which are symbolic and can be understood, and that's what the process of Talmud and Pardes, right? Remez, Drash, Sod, there is a hermeneutic way of understanding the Bible beyond the simple one. Unfortunately, because so this is part of the problem. Christians trying to understand the Bible further, I see people like you and Jeff who study quite deeply into the Bible as much as you can with the resources you have. You don't have the same resources that exist in Judaism to further explain things and better understand things. And I could say that a primary requirement for that is to actually know the Hebrew, because a lot of times there are things. Have I given you the Enosh? Have I talked to you about Enosh?
I don't know. I don't think you have.
I don't think I have. Let me find Enosh. He is called Enos in English, and he shows up in Genesis 5:6 through 11.
That's not Enoch.
Oh, actually, no, not Enoch, Enosh. Here, Genesis 4:26. Let's go to Genesis 4:26.
Oh, okay. And Enosh, then men began to call on the name of the Lord. Okay.
So what does that mean? Then men began to call in the name of the Lord. Nobody called in the name of the Lord before Enosh? Enosh?
Yeah, that's what I figured. It did. People were kind of doing their own thing.
So Adam never called in the name of the Lord? Like, that makes sense to you?
He hid from God, right? He hid in the garden.
But he's still, so...
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't... I know it says he hid from him. It doesn't say that he called on God after that. I mean, you would hope he did. I would hope he did, but...
But didn't he... before... didn't Abel call on the name of the Lord?
And it does say that God made him tunics of skin, so I think he still had some sort of relationship with God for sure.
So what's it telling us here?
That I don't know.
Okay. So this word began, huchal, it does mean began.
Okay.
But halal actually bore, pierce, perforate, Where
Yeah, that's
is
interesting.
Pierce? Where do they have? Pollute, defile, profane.
To profane the name of the Lord is what it's saying.
That
That
is the Jewish understanding, is that
ah
he started calling the name of the Lord on all types of things, and he started making the name of the Lord profane, commonplace, and his sin was attributing that this is actually saying that like he actually started sinning in overusing the name of the Lord by making it commonplace. You wouldn't really get that out of the English in any way.
no, not at all.
But when you say it in Hebrew, it's like obvious.
Then, because you would say, then men began to pierce or the name of the Lord or
Profane the name of the Lord.
profane the
And
Lord.
so the idea, so what Maimonides actually says, so if we go back to Maimonides and laws of laws of idolatry, right? He says, during the time of Enosh, mankind made a great mistake, and the wise men of the generation gave thoughtless counsel. Enosh himself was one of those who erred. Their mistake was as follows. They said God created stars and spheres with which to control the world. He placed them on high and treated them with honor, making them servants who minister before him. Accordingly, it is fitting to praise and glorify them and treat them with honor. They perceived this to be the will of God, blessed be he, that they magnify and honor those whom he magnified and honored, just as a king desires that the servants who stand before him be honored. Indeed, doing so is an expression of honor to the king. After conceiving of this notion, they began to construct temples to the stars and offer sacrifices to them. They would praise and glorify them with words and prostrate themselves before them, because by doing so, they would, according to their false conception, be fulfilling the will of God. This was the essence of the worship of false gods, and this was the rationale of those who worship them. They would not say that there is no other God except for this star. This message was conveyed by Jeremiah, who declared, "Who will not fear you, king of the nations, for to you it is fitting among all the wise men of the nations and all in all their kingdoms there is none like you. They have one foolish and senseless notion. They conceive of their empty teachings as wood. All know that you alone are God. Their foolish error consists of conceiving of this emptiness as your will." So this is this is called the sin of Enosh, which is to attribute divinity to other things than just God himself. Does he actually? He doesn't actually mention this verse, but when you're reading the verse in
To
in the
attribute
Hebrew, it makes sense.
to attribute like an ultimate divinity, though, right? Because when you say all things came from God, you can kind of contribute some aspect of
Right,
God.
but
But yeah, okay,
but ultimately, I mean, if you too much, right?
yeah.
This
You
is
wouldn't say
this,
you would say this rock is like you could show as a characteristic of God, but you wouldn't say this is God. Yeah, I
Right.
understand. Yeah.
yeah. So this is something we get from what I would say is a plain reading of Genesis 4:26, but
Yeah.
if you don't know Hebrew, it doesn't sound very plain to you.
No, it doesn't at all. So, all that being said, how is this exactly, I guess, related to our original topic, or does it, or did we kind of get off
Yes.
there? Okay.
So the thing is, a lot of these things make a lot more sense when you are darshaning the Hebrew, because the Hebrew has multiple meanings and can be like So this is what, like, this is Talmud. This is what we study. Like, we study how to understand deeper meanings and how to, and we have traditions for various things, referring to various things. And this is the Jewish study of the like. So people think the Talmud is like something other than the Bible, and it's not at all. It's how to study the the Bible. The Midrash, it's like expansions and explanations of the Bible. And like,
Okay.
for me, like, when I started studying Midrash and Talmud and things like that, it was further explication of the Tanakh. It's not like,
Yeah.
it's obviously not the simple Tanakh, because you're expected to know the Tanakh. You're supposed to study the Tanakh. It's
Yeah.
funny. I was actually listening to Rabbi Breitowitz today, and he was saying that if you truly love the study of Torah, then you should love Chronicles chapters 1 through 9. And
Oh,
I don't know
goodness.
if you've
Yeah, yeah.
seen Chronicles chapter.
Those are the ones people probably skip over a bunch. Yeah, yeah. Because it's a lot of genealogies, right?
Yeah, apparently
There's so many.
all-
There's so many good nuggets in there, though. Like you get the little part about what the guy sleeping with his mom. Gosh, why can't I remember his name? Right, Reuben. Or that's how we say it. I don't know.
Well, that's already in Genesis. Like,
Yeah, but it explains it. What is it? It's chapter 5. Explains it a little more, and how the birthright was passed from him then to Joseph because of that. Like I don't think it
okay.
says that in Genesis necessarily, or it doesn't say it as explicitly. I guess. Yeah, every time you skip over the parts people would consider boring or mundane, you miss out on so many good things because there's
Well,
little things hidden in there all the time.
This is why I love you, because I can mention Chronicles 1 through 9, and you will mention gems like this, which makes me think, hey, this is a man who really loves the Torah, and like, that's great. And like, I think, you know, when Rabbi Breitowitz talks about somebody who's like this caring about, like, he's talking about somebody like you. Let's see,
thank you.
where's Chronicles 1 through 9? Chronicles is at the end, 1874. 1874.
Chronicles 1874.
No,
What?
1874
Oh,
is the
okay.
page
Oh,
in
okay.
my Bible where Chronicles starts.
Oh.
Yeah. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Yered. Like, it's
Yeah, I
all-
love how it starts though. Just like
all
just
names.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just love that. It's fun. But
Well-
like I'm sure it's like that. Like you said though. Like I don't know Hebrew, so I
Rabbi
know.
Rabbi Breitowitz was talking about you when he said that, like, yeah, it's like all names.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah,
listen
I
to
wish
Rabbi
I-
Breitowitz. He's amazing.
Okay. Rabbi Bradowitz. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have a question too though before, and then I can let you go. So why do Jews not see the first David and Solomon as something like Messiah?
Oh, there's one view in the Talmud that the Messiah is actually going to be David himself.
Okay, because it seems like when I read the story of David, it seems like that's kind of what he did. He gathered all Israel together, and then his son built the temple, one of the wonders
Right.
of the world.
So
You know,
whether he's a prototype for the Messiah, or, I mean, if you're going to say that the Messiah is going to be somebody who came and died already, then David's as good of a candidate as anybody else.
okay. Yeah.
Generally, we would say, well, no, it's going to be one of his descendants. And if so, then it makes no sense for it to be somebody who came and died already.
No dad. Okay, yeah, because it would have to. The key thing is that he's not going to die, sort of thing.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
he's actually alive and he's actually going to do things.
Well, that's Jesus, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just.
Chad says there's others centered versus self-centered. Okay, he's obviously catching up. as an others-centered act is an act of selflessness. Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. There's no Trinity, only the Father who is God and He is the Holy Spirit. Okay, I don't know who you are, stand on Scripture. You're new here. Adam was 930. He was alive during that time. I'm not sure which time you're talking about. This is not the right use. Oh, Huchal, I think he's talking about Enosh. You have to see the verse is associated to that use. Goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Morning. Hi, Jay.
Oh.
You're new here, too. Will Moses return to Earth? Moses will be resurrected with everybody else. Computer apparently converted to Islam. And is Moses in heaven right now? Depends what you mean by heaven. The Jewish concept of heaven is away in time, not in thing.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to explore because I've never really heard of that before. The Jewish concept of heaven as well.
Well, we refer to it as the world to come. Yes, you have 2 minutes.
All right.
120 seconds.
Nah, it's all right. I don't know what else to say. We can save it for another time. I do want to explore all these things more though, because I think it would be like everything with the whole concept of the seeing through the glass darkly, like looking both ways, like Christianity seeing through it darkly, and like how Christians will claim the opposite. I think it'd be really, really fun to explore that on a lot of different levels, but I think it would take a lot of conversations actually. But
that's good.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for doing this, and I hope you really, I hope you get that conversation with the rabbi going soon too. That'd be interesting to see. So,
but what is in the world to come? Is it happiness? I mean,
you should watch The Land Before Time. It's all in there, right? The Great Valley.
Well, okay. You know what? I'm gonna do chapter 12 of thing. Chapter 12 of the Laws of Kings and Wars, because you asked. Do not presume that in the Messianic age any facet of the world's nature will change. Not that it couldn't, but that it has to. Or there will be innovations in the work of creation. Rather, the world will continue according to its pattern. Although Isaiah 11:6 states, the wolf will dwell with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the young goat. These words are a metaphor and a parable. There are many people who disagree with Maimonides here, but this is Maimonides' view. The interpretation of the prophecy is as follows. Israel will dwell securely together with the wicked Gentiles who are likened to a wolf and to a leopard, as in the prophecy, Jeremiah 5:6. A wolf from the wilderness shall spoil them, and a leopard will stalk their cities. They will all return to the true faith and no longer steal or destroy. Rather, they will eat permitted food at peace with Israel, as Isaiah 11:7 states. The lion will eat straw like an ox. Similarly, other messianic prophecies of this nature are metaphors. In the messianic era, everyone will realize which matters were implied by these metaphors and which allusions they contained. Our sages taught there will be no difference between the current age and the messianic era except the emancipation from our subjugation to the Gentile kingdoms. The simple interpretation of the prophet's words appear to imply that the war of Gog and Magog will take place at the beginning of the Messianic age. Before the war of Gog and Magog, a prophet will arise to inspire Israel to be upright and prepare their hearts, as Malachi 3:22 states, "Behold, I am sending you Elijah. He will not come to declare the pure impure or declare the impure pure. He will not dispute the lineages of those presumed to be of proper pedigree, nor will he validate the pedigree of those whose lineage is presumed blemished. Rather, he will establish peace within the world, as Ibid 3:24 continues. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children." There are some sages who say that Elijah's coming will precede the coming of the Messiah. All these and similar matters cannot be definitively known by man until they occur, for these matters are undefined in the prophet's words, and even the wise men have no established tradition regarding these matters except their own interpretation of the verses. Therefore, there is controversy among them regarding these matters. Regardless of the debate concerning these questions, neither the order of the occurrence of these events or their precise detail are among the fundamental principles of the faith. A person should not occupy himself with the agadot and homiletics concerning these and similar matters, nor should he consider them as essentials, for study of them will neither bring fear or love of God, because those are essentials of the faith, fear and love of God. Similarly, one should not try to determine the appointed time for Mashiach's coming. Our sages declared, may the spirit of those who attempt to determine the time of the Messiah's coming expire. Rather, one should await and believe in the general conception of the matter as explained. During the era of the Messianic king, once his kingdom has been established and all Israel has gathered around him, the entire nation's line of descent will be established on the basis of his words and the prophetic spirit which will rest upon him, as Malachi 3:3 states, he shall sit as a refiner and purifier. He will purify the lineages of the Levites first, stating he is a priest of a defined lineage, he is a Levite of defined lineage. Those whose lineage he will not recognize will be lowered to the status of Israelites. This is implied in Ezra 2:63. The governor said to them, they should not eat of the most holy things until a priest arises who will wear the Urim and Tumim. From this verse, you can infer that the prophetic spirit will be used to define and notify the pedigree of lineage. When he defines the lineage of the Israelites, he will make known their tribal lineage alone, stating he is from this tribe, and he is from another tribe. He will not, by contrast, state concerning a person who is presumed to be of unblemished lineage, he is illegitimate, or he is of slave lineage. For the law is, once a family has been intermingled with the entire Jewish people, they may remain intermingled. The sages and the prophets did not yearn for the Messianic era in order to have dominion over the entire world, to rule over the Gentiles, to be exalted by the nations, or to eat, drink, and celebrate. Rather, they desired to be free to involve themselves in Torah and wisdom without any pressure or disturbance, so that they would merit the world to come, as explained in Hilchot Teshuvah, which is earlier. In that era, there will be neither famine or war, envy or competition, for good will flow in abundance, and all the delights will be freely available as dust. The occupation of the entire world will be solely to know God. Therefore, the Jews will be great sages and know the hidden matters, grasping the knowledge of their Creator according to the full extent of human potential. As Isaiah 11:9 states, the world will be filled with knowledge of God as the waters cover the ocean beds. And this was the end of his Mishneh Torah.
Nice. Sounds good to me. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought those the things, so this is probably just a minor thing though, but I wouldn't have thought those were metaphors. I guess just because of the reference to Genesis.
Not everybody agrees with him that all of these will be metaphorical.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's not obvious, and it's not the important things.
I mean, I do like the metaphorical interpretation, and even comparing it to Gentiles as they won't be, devouring nations anymore and stuff like that. So I think the metaphorical interpretation is very important. But I guess it makes me think about Genesis before the flood, where God says the herb and the fruit is for all the creatures. So he didn't really give them meat to eat till after the flood.
There is no reason whatsoever to believe in a final prophet. Why would there be a final prophet?
Who is the final prophet?
Why would there be a final prophet? This is a Muslim concept. We need to worry about afterlife. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. No, what we need to worry about is being good people and doing what God wants and loving God and fearing God and being good people. That's what we need to worry about.
Yeah, I would say you're practicing the afterlife when you go to bed, so it's better operate in forgiveness and a clean conscience. Cause, yeah, I don't know.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. It's here
Okay.
and now, buddy. All right. Well, have a good
Go
night.
away. I'll
See
talk to
ya.
you later.
See ya,
Bye,
buddy.
people.